Since the dawn of YouTube, horror games have been a hot commodity on the site. Some of these games blew up in a short amount of time, with hundreds of creators covering the game, its story, and even more. Sure, they aren't guaranteed to stick around, but their popularity was there at a time without a doubt. This is what I like to refer to as the viral horror game. I absolutely hate the word mascot horror, by the way. I've seen people call Slender Man mascot horror. This is a mascot?
It's the Slender Man!
I've said it before on this channel, but tons of these viral horror games pass through the minds of those on the internet all the time. Some will stick in your mind and never let go, no matter how hard you want to forget, but some of them disappear almost for good, being nothing more than a name you hear and go, oh yeah, Mr. Hops, that was a thing. I've experienced this plenty of times myself, but one small random ass viral horror game has been stuck in my mind for years. I don't know why, I don't know how, but the 2016 indie horror survival game Night Blights has been stuck in my head for years. I don't know what it was about those monstrous little freaks that made the game stick so hard in my mind. I mean, I didn't even play the game when it came out. I was too busy playing Tony Hawk Underground and being 12. Night Blights was a short horror game released in 2016 by the game dev Hot Cross. From what I've heard and seen, Hot Cross is a really chill dude who streams, so go check out his Twitch when you have the chance. Anyways, I remember when this game dropped, a ton of big name YouTubers decided to play it, like Markiplier and Corey. Ever since, I've just kinda randomly thought about this game or brought it up in conversation. I'm fairly certain I've even mentioned it in videos before. But the thing is, just like most Earthbound fans, I have never actually played the game until now. Since I don't see many people talk about this game anymore, and I had always wanted an excuse to play through it, I think it's time I talk about this sort of forgotten viral horror game, and see if it really was as good as watching it as a kid was. And don't tell me it wasn't forgotten, because it was. You give me 3 YouTubers who talked about this game in the last few years. I mean, there wasn't even a Random Encounters musical. What the hell, AJ? Night Blights presents itself in a really unique way, having the menu take place in a storybook. Oh, that's before you have to adjust your volume, of course. I swear on my life, I heard nothing and OBS wasn't picking up any audio. This game is 3 seconds in and already trying to gaslight me. That's great. You learn the story of the Night Blight, these silly little fellas who just want to snack on your innards a little. Your job is to survive the week, with the Night Blights progressively getting more and more difficult to deal with, all while you have to run around the house keeping them at bay. That is until the weekend, but we'll get to that. The first night, Monday, is without a doubt the easiest night in the game, as it just introduces the core mechanics and tasks of the game. These are the Night Blights, and like I mentioned earlier, they just kinda wanna eat you and your family. They hide under the beds of your family, as well as in various wardrobes around the house. You aren't fighting these guys per se, but rather preventing them from getting out of their hiding spots. Going until 7 AM, armed with a plan to protect your family, you can set off into your house to stop the Night Blights. Oh, also, I failed to mention, you're a toddler and can barely navigate your house. To push back the blights, there's various things you'll have to do. For the main blight you have to worry about, the ones under the beds, you need to navigate around your house finding toys to feed to them. All you gotta do is pick it up, listen for when the blights are hungry, and feed them. The voice acting is so damn funny. Why do these insane shadow creatures know English? And why does that include the phrase, yummy yummy? For the wardrobe blights, and also the one that's in the fridge, you just gotta click to close them when they start to open. But the interesting part about these ones is that they don't just outright kill you. If these ones get out, they'll just begin to hide around the house in various places trying to jump out at you. You can avoid them by listening for breathing when walking around corners, but it makes your night significantly harder. Speaking of making your night harder, you are an infant. You play as a young child in this game, and by extension, navigating the house is a lot more difficult. Things in horror games that are normally easy to reach, like items on the kitchen counter, are now a chore to parkour up to and get. Ah yes, I remember jumping on my potted plant as a child. Not only that, but those stubby legs don't hold up for long, as your stamina slowly depletes as the night goes on, even more so if you're sprinting. This isn't a normal stamina bar either. You may have noticed while watching that your character blinks throughout the game. As you sprint more and more, your blinks get slower because the tiny child who's been sprinting around his house for hours is getting tired. At a certain point, the sprint is just straight up disabled. Your eyes are closing for way longer, and a blight can come up and kill you. All I'm saying is that if he had had some delicious gamer subs, which you can use code ToadBup to go and get 10% off of, then he would have been able to run around the house for days. Here, kid, try some caffeinated raw meat. That'll help you out. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're not supposed to give caffeine to toddlers. How did I forget that? You just have to do your best to conserve your sprint. It's a lot easier in the earlier nights, but you really gotta make some sacrifices later on. And the worst part, you can't even see your stamina, so you kinda just have to remember how much you've sprinted and pray that you don't pass out before 4 AM. Regarding how the game actually functions, it functions pretty well. I didn't experience any real bugs or issues, unlike a different horror game I played at the same time as this, and I didn't have any controls issues either. Despite being so small, it wasn't too bad navigating the house. Sure, the parkour was annoying from time to time, but no real complaints. The game actually functions. It's fun and interesting overall, but I won't lie if I said I wasn't bored during some of the middle nights. Wednesday and Thursday have new mechanics added, sure, but really nothing game-changing. On top of that, I feel like some hiding spots were changed to be less often, or even removed entirely, unlike later nights in the game. I don't know if that's true or not, but it felt like it. Because of this, at times it felt like a chore to wait the entirety of the clock, doing a few tasks that you've been doing for the past 20 minutes. And let me tell you, mishearing a sound and dying at 6:30 AM is one of the worst feelings on this planet. The later levels are more fun, but they're also more frustrating too. Enough of that tangent though, let's go over all 5 weekdays you have to survive, since they're all mostly the same. I already explained Monday, but it's the introduction level where all you have to do is feed the blights under the bed and close the closets. The first time I played, I didn't realize I had stamina, so I just ran myself to death. Whoopsie! And you do not want to die, because then you will have your brains blown out by this 200 decibel noise of death. The actual scream isn't even that loud compared to this noise. You can breeze through the first night once you know what you're doing and move on to Tuesday. This time, you've got 2 new threats to deal with, the garage and your stupid idiot dumb brother. Whenever you hear the garage door opening, you need to sprint over to the garage, jump up on this cabinet, and close it. It's fairly simple, it's quick, but doesn't open instantly. It would have been nice to know that sometimes they can block you from getting to the button, but who needs to know that? If your path to the garage door button is blocked, you can just grab a stool and jump up. But the first time this happened to me, I panicked and it was too late. Now, to save your dumbass baby brother, you just have to spin his mobile when he cries, and then that's it. It's easy enough. It's really not that intense of a night. I ended up beating this one first try. We aren't to the point yet where I'm Super Mario 64 bouncing all around my house, defending it like the Night Blight's god, but it's starting to get there with Wednesday. You've once again got 2 new dilemmas at hand, the fireplace and the... No. To stop the blight in the toilet, you just have to flush them down after you hear a gurgle before it's too late. They move quick though, so if you hear that noise and you're in the garage, that skibbity piece of shit is coming to eat your dad. The fireplace and toilet are just really fast. They ended up being my downfall multiple times, not just on this night. Thursday is here, and honestly, this might be my least favorite night. It could be because I played this when I was tired, or that I had been playing for over an hour or 2 at this point, but this night was a little boring. The new mechanics this time are the vent and the plant? Okay, not the plant specifically, but now they can kind of just chill in really inconvenient places. They can also now hide inside of the vents. Man, Skibbity Toilet and Among Us? This game spoils me. What's next? 5 Nights at Freddy's?
Hello? Hello?
The vents can now be overrun by the blights, and honestly, besides the occasional visual cue, I cannot hear these things enter the vents. My strat was literally just to check the basement to see if the button was blue. I didn't even do it the way I was supposed to do it. Oh yeah, there's a basement now. It's really just useful for a toy or two and the vent button, nothing else. This night was a tough one, taking me close to an hour to beat. This is when you really have to start locking in, because from here, there's like 50 things you have to pay attention to. Listening to the audio cues is key, especially if you let a blight out. The breathing of the slightly open closet can sound fairly similar to a blight hiding to kill you at first, so do not make that mistake. Open up those ear canals like one of SpongeBob's holes and listen closely. Oh my god, that did not sound right. I meant like his ear holes when they like stretched them open in the show. Oh god, I'm sorry, Bob. I didn't mean it like that. With the right amount of stamina conservation, strategy, and a little bit of pain, you can beat Thursday and move on to what I consider hell, Friday. They aren't even trying to be cute with the storybook anymore. They just want my ass dead. Friday takes everything you just learned from the past nights and amps it up to 11. Not only is everything enabled, but it's all coming at you fast. Nothing is disabled or lessened at all. Once again, I'm not sure if anything was actually slowed down or disabled, but it really felt like it. Now, this was actually pretty fun. I'll get more into what I enjoy about this game towards the end, but it kinda reminds me of a really solid FNAF fan game. The mechanics and time management are handled pretty well, and at no point did I feel like it was unfair. I felt frustrated, but it was a good frustration. Like my friend hiding my medicine, but he does it in a really cool way, so I can't be mad at him. Oh, there's an attic now too. It's a little time consuming having to climb up and close the closet up there, but there's a ton of toys up there too, so it evens out. You know what? Let me give you ToadBup's official guide to surviving night blights. Make sure you've got 2 to 3 toys in the bedrooms at all times. They get hungry fast on this night. Do not sprint on the stairs. If you jump up or down them, you'll travel faster without using that stamina. Whenever you go to close the garage, peek down the basement because chances are you're deaf like me and did not notice that something was in the vents. Even if you didn't let any of the blights out, listen near the doors and corners when you get into the last few hours of the night. You could have let one out and have no clue about it. Lastly, and this is the big one, do not hit the subspace trip mine button. I know it's tempting, but that's just fucking inhumane, even for the night blights, man. What's wrong with you? And that's my guide. Hope it gets you through Friday. After many, many attempts, I finally beat Friday. The blights have been defeated, your family is safe, and the game is now over. Oh yeah, there's still the weekend. Saturday and Sunday is when the little fella you play as finally decides to fight back as you devise a plan to kill them. Now, the objective of the night, while still to live, also includes building a blight buster. Now, I hear you asking, how does a flashlight, some crayons, and a goddamn cup create a weapon of mass destruction? And to that I say, I'm not talking to you about weapons of mass destruction. I didn't forget about the trip mine, you monster. Scattered across the house is the various parts you need. Grab them from their respective areas, toss them in the chest that's at the foot of your bed, and survive until 7. The first time I played this, I thought the night would end if you got all the parts, but nope, I wasted my stamina for absolutely nothing and died at like 3 AM. This was definitely tough too. Having to focus on finding these parts while also dealing with the Venom children at the same time was a pain. Because I had spent so long playing Friday, I felt like I had a fairly good grasp on what to do at this point, but it still took a while nonetheless. Funny story, the first time I tried to beat Saturday was pretty late in the night when I was tired. I lost a ton, called it quits, and tried the next day knowing I'd suffer even more. I then proceeded to beat it on the first try. I just unlocked a crazy new Night Blights technique. It's called sleeping. But now that you have your blaster built, it's time for the true final night. Just like FNAF, the 7th night is the most unique and the trickiest. It's time to go full Rambo on the blights. Well, Rambo, but you're a toddler with bad aim and a horrible sleep schedule. Armed with the blaster, you no longer have to keep the blights in their hiding spots, but instead, they're out on the attack. Using glow sticks you can pick up on the ground, you need to kill all of the night blights before 7 AM to win. This wasn't horrible. I think I had a harder time with Friday and Saturday at first, but this was still slightly miserable. You shoot out a beam that lasts for like half a second, and you've got to be close and dead on for it to land. I had a ton of times where I was just a little too far away, or it just didn't connect with the blight for whatever reason. Not only that, glow sticks can only be seen if your flashlight is on, which when turned on, attracts the blights. I mean, you can kinda see them without the light, but good luck with that, bud. On top of that, there's just not that many glow sticks. Between the abundance of blights and the ones that take 2 hits to kill, you run out fast. I really like the change of gameplay though. I really did, but I would be lying if I didn't say that this was difficult and kind of annoying at points. But if you manage to stick it out and win, the blights will actually be defeated. Look at that idiot. And that marks the true end of Night Blights. A really fun game and, I'm sorry, survival mode? No, I'm good actually. Night Blights wasn't as great as I remember watching as a kid, but also, I was watching it as a kid. I was genuinely terrified of Red Mist Squidward. I don't think I had a great perspective on horror. This game was pretty fun. I'm unsure if it was inspired by FNAF in any way. Not that that's a bad thing, but it really does take that formula in an interesting and fun way. The nights all add new things, the slow yet steady progression to the final battle at the end, the Dragon Ball reference. You can tell this game prioritized gameplay over horror, and I think that works great. On the other hand, the horror here is just, well, I mean, it's horror. After a while, the jump scares were just annoying, but the genuine fear I felt every time I turned a corner, praying I didn't miss a blight noise, was very real. Hot Cross, I will never, ever forgive you for the car beeping when you pass it, or those dumb, stupid asshole cardboard Nightblight jump scares. I'm taking this grudge to my grave. I do think it succeeds in what it was trying to do. It's a dark, nighttime survival game with these shadowy creatures that'll jump out at you. It isn't striving to give you an unrivaled, grotesque, unreal experience. It's just trying to give you a neat little horror experience. I think overall, my expectations were met, and honestly, I kinda wish this idea was expanded upon just a little bit. I liked the end where it was almost an entirely different game, maybe a sequel in a new location, with new survival and self-defense mechanics would be pretty cool. But honestly, I'm also okay if this just stays an obscure solo horror experience and stays that way. I enjoyed this game, and honestly, I couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, I also forgot to mention, you get calls from this dude on the phone a lot. He was drunk once.
Hey, Judith. I know this is probably a stupid thing to do.
After playing that, I can't lie, I'm actually a little scared to go to bed. Wait a second. What if there's a night blight under my bed right now? Oh, thank God. It's just a subspace trip mine. You just couldn't help yourself, could you?